Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on bank reconciliation corrections. This is a new session, so it's kind of off the back of the correction series. So we'll be looking at how to correct transactions and how the correcting transactions impacts your bank reconciliation. My name is Abby and I'll be your host for today's webinar. This session is booked out for around 45 minutes, but that will depend if we have any questions outstanding at the end. Like I say, this is a newer session, so we will see how we get on with those questions. We also have Michael on hand today to answer any questions throughout the session. So I'm sure there will be plenty, so he's on hand with us today. If you do want to ask any questions today, you will be placed on mute automatically. When you join, if you do have any questions, you can use the questions panel down the right-hand side, and it's just that little icon that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. We also have a handout for today. You can download this by clicking on the button that looks like a little document with the folded corner. We would recommend downloading this as it does have some links to our help centre. Just a reminder, like every session, the webinar recording and links to register for future webinars will be included in your follow-up email, so please do keep an eye out for that as well. Okay, so we're going to start very briefly with what are bank feeds. And then we're going to look at the benefits of running a bank reconciliation. We'll then move on to corrections and what does it look like, and if it hasn't gone to plan, how do we reverse a bank reconciliation? Then towards the end of the session, we'll summarise and we'll talk about upcoming webinars. Just before we move on, just want to launch a poll on your screen there. And I'm just wanting to know which of you are currently using bank feeds at the moment. Like I say, there's no right or wrong answer. We just want to gain some insight of who's currently using bank feeds alongside their bank reconciliation process. So if you can pop your answer in there for me, yes or no. What we usually do is we usually wait until we get around 70, 75%. And then what we do is we close the poll down and I'll share those results with you as well. Okay, so we've got those votes in nice and quickly. So we've got around 80% there, so I'll close those down. And I'll share the results with you as well. So 15% of you are currently using bank feeds and 85% of you are not currently using bank feeds. It's absolutely fine if you're not, it doesn't work for everybody. But what we'll do is we'll just explain a little bit more about what bank feeds are, and it might be a benefit to you. So what are bank feeds? So bank feeds is a tool that you use alongside your bank reconciliation feature by connecting to your live bank account. It can automate a lot of the reconciliation process. It enables you to download transactions from your bank, match these bank transactions against existing Sage transactions, create new Sage transactions from the downloaded bank transactions, and also create and manage bank feeds rules for transactions to automatically post them into the software. Now, please note, bank feeds are a one-way link, so information is not going to be sent from your Sage 50 account software into your bank account. I'm going to talk a little bit later about the bank feed series or how you can get registered for those sessions coming up in the new year. Okay, so to start, let's briefly recap the benefits of doing bank reconciliation in the software. If you do wish to delve into the whole bank reconciliation process, we do have a recording on our recordings page, or we do have our banking badging event coming up in February, so also keep an eye out for that as well. So running a bank reconciliation in Sage 50 ensures an accurate accounting records. It minimises errors and supports better financial management. Regular reconciliation helps maintain accurate financial picture. So When you're doing a bank reconciliation, you want to ensure the transactions you have posted into Sage match what you have on your bank statement. Bank reconciliation is typically run each time you receive a bank statement. But also as well, if you use bank feeds, you can use this to download transactions directly from your banking provider, and it helps speed up the process and also reduce errors. Now, just a reminder, when you do your bank reconciliation, you will start at this statement summary. So you've got your statement reference. So this is automatically populated with the account reference and date. The ending balance and statement date. So you want to make sure you're entering the closing balance and the date that your statements run up to. And then lastly, you've got your interest earned and your account charges. So if these appear on your statement, they can be added at this point on the statement summary screen. Okay, so let's get into the corrections side. So with corrections, this could be something that, or you need to make corrections of what someone's already done, and it's impacted your bank reconciliation. So you need to make sure that the last reconciled balance, which is the one highlighted on the example there, should match the opening balance on the statement. If this is not the case, then an investigation is required before any matching can begin. And it is likely that it could be down to the following, or it may be that you need to do one of the following to correct the mistakes. So it could be a deleted transaction. You've also got the option as well to ignore transactions in the bank feeds if there's duplicates. So it could be, in that case, that you've manually reconciled something outside of bank feeds, but obviously the bank transaction still shows in your bank feed, so you can just ignore that. Might be that might be that a transaction's been edited or needs to be edited. Manually unreconciled or reconcile a transaction. You might need to create a missing transaction. And if it's, you've done your investigation, you've tried to correct the mistakes there, but it's still not, still not the outcome that you're expecting, then we do have an option to reverse a bank reconciliation. Please note, once a transaction has been confirmed in bank feeds and moved to the reconcile screen, if you edit, delete, or unreconcile transactions, it will not reappear in bank feeds and it will need to be manually reconciled. One more thing before we go into demonstration. So just to reiterate the reconciliation reversal. So there's two ways you can, I'm going to show you in the demonstration, but I've just pop this in the slides here as well. So you can go into the bank record and then pop down the tabs on the left-hand side and you'll see all your reconciliations for that bank. Alternatively, when you open up bank reconciliation and you're given your statement summary, there is a button there just under your statement date for reverse reconciliation, and this will take you to the same place. So there's just two ways in which you can access that area. Now, please note, when you do a reversal, any bank reconciliations that have been done after that reconciliation that you're reversing will also be reversed. So just make sure if you're going to do that, you may need to do more than one re-reconciliation. But also as well, just make sure you're taking backups before you actually reverse any reconciliations. Okay, so let's pop into the demonstration. So we'll pop over to my software. Okay, so first part of the demonstration is how to post a missing transaction. So if you go into bank accounts and then go into your reconcile window, so we're going to do it for 1200, we're going to click reconcile along the top, and we're just going to go into our reconciliation. Let's open another screen there. So you can see along the top here that we've got the options here for posting any additional transactions. So we've got the bank receipt, the payment, the customer receipt, supplier payment, customer refund, supplier refund, and your bank transfer. So if you come in here and notice that there's a difference, you're unable to reconcile, it might be that there's a missing transaction. So you can actually do it from within the reconcile window to post those missing transactions. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to reconcile this. So I'm just going to select all of mine. I'm going to click match. And you can see I've got a difference of 0. Obviously, you wouldn't necessarily go and select all and then just match them all. You obviously want to make sure you're going through each individual. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to match them all. And I've got a difference of 0. I'm going to reconcile those transactions. So they are now got that reconcile flag against the transaction. So if we pop into here, you can see now I've got a bank rec date of today. And for those transactions, I've got an R now there reconciled. So those transactions are now marked as reconciled. Now, if I was to edit a transaction, so let's just say we're going to edit this one here. We'll go into the transaction. What we'll do is we'll edit the value. So I'm just going to change this from 250. I'm just going to change this to 300. So when I close this, and you can see here, we've got that bank reconcile flag ticked there. That's what is automatically ticked when you run a reconciliation. So if I click save, yes, I want to post these changes, and I get a pop-up, and it's telling me that this transaction has been bank reconciled. If it is edited and saved, this will affect your bank reconciled opening balance for the relevant bank account. Are you sure you wish to edit this transaction? We'll just click yes. And then we can go and have a look how that impacts your bank reconciliation. So you do get a warning that it is bank reconciled before you edit it, just in case anyone's editing transactions in error. So we'll go back into the bank reconcile screen, and we'll just click OK to go into there. Now you can see instantly I get a pop-up for your last closing balance was 6319.23, and it's now 6269.23. So there's a difference of 0. Now you get the same message, slightly worded differently when you delete a transaction. So it's pretty much the same messages, but it's just slightly worded about editing and deleting. So this is the behavior you can expect if a transaction is also deleted. So the difference is £50. We recommend that you check the list of transactions which contribute to this difference before continuing. Do you want to do this now? I'm going to click yes. And it gives me this window here. So this is telling me, well, it's actually this transaction, which is for £300. This is the transaction that's causing the bank reconciliation to be out. If you're wanting to, it might be that you need to post another transaction, especially if a transaction has been deleted. Do you need to post a different transaction to counteract that? So you've got the option here to do that. So once you've posted that, you don't have to necessarily post it from here. If you just want to say, okay, yep, that's the transactions that are, that's impacting, you can click continue to bank reconciliation. And it will take you back into your reconcile screen. Now, it might be that you've got some transactions, you've tried to rectify your bank reconciliation, it's still not going to plan, and you think, right, what I'll do is I'll reverse the reconciliation. So then I can just start from scratch and see where I might be going wrong. So I just click close out of that. So again, which way we can go into it? We can go into the just the bank record, or we can go back into reconcile, and then you've got that reverse reconciliation option, and it takes you to the same place. So I'll just quickly drag that over. So you can see it's just taking me into the bank record for that bank, and it's taking me to the reconciliations tab. So you can see this is the one I've got beforehand. So this was done earlier, and then I've got this one I've just done here. So you can, like I say, you can delete. Deleting it won't necessarily unflag those transactions. So reversing will unflag those transactions. So we recommend taking a backup before proceeding. Always recommend to take a backup before big processes. So we'll just take a backup there. Shouldn't take us too long. Lovely. So it's telling us now there, this will remove bank reconciled flag and bank reconciled date for all transactions in the selected reconciliation. Do you want to reverse this bank reconciliation? We'll click yes. So you can see that one at the top has now disappeared, and also as well, if I had any after that, they would also be reversed. So then I may have more than one reconciliation that I need to do. So I've reversed that bank reconciliation. So now I can start from scratch again. So if I pop into transactions and I go back to those transactions, you can see bank rec has now got an N in there, whereas I had an R once it'd been reconciled, and the date's been removed as well. So let's just go back to that transaction that I changed the value for, and we'll change it back to 250 because we now know it's not reconciled, so we're not going to get that message. We'll just change it back to how it was. So we'll close that, and we'll click. We'll click save. Yes, we'll post the changes. So now that transaction is back to 250. Okay, so let's just say we've got the next example. Let me just bear with me a second. So what we'll do is we'll do another bank reconciliation. I just want to mark these as reconciled again. And we'll match those and we'll reconcile. So you can see the difference again is 0. We'll reconcile. Now let's just say if we go to transactions, and we've got a transaction here for 5,000. And we just notice that actually this is actually incorrect. This was supposed to be a customer receipt, and it's being posted as a bank receipt. So actually I'm going to unreconcile this one. What it might be worth doing actually, so actually close, I'll come back into that. So before you do that, you want to make sure that if you might need to mark another transaction as reconciled manually. So it might be you want to make the note of the date before you untick it, because once you untick it, it takes the date out. So make note of the date and then untick that. And what that'll do is that'll take it out of the bank reconciliation. It'll mark it as unreconciled. So if we click save, yes, I want to post these changes. It's telling me again, this transaction has been bank reconciled and it's going to impact your opening balance. Yes, we want to continue. So then if you just want to fix your bank reconciliation, so we'll go back into the bank rec. we're going to get that message again. So the value is different. The difference is 5,000. Do you want to do this now? So you click yes. And it might be that you want to go, okay, well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just post, I've unreconciled it. I'm going to now post the correct transaction for the correct value. And then what I'm going to do is then I'll do my investigation later. I just want to get my bank rec corrected so then I can come in here, post the correct transaction. The other transaction has been unreconciled. And then once you've posted that correct one, your bank account will balance. So if we would post a customer receipt for that value, and we'll just try to remember the date of the transaction. I'll just put it was the 3rd of the 1st, 2022. So we'll just post that transaction. We'll just post our payment on our account for now. You can continue to the reconciliation. So then you can match that correct transaction whilst you do your investigation on that other transaction. Okay, so as you can see, we're not going to go into too much detail on how to do your corrections in terms of outside of bank rec, but I just wanted to show you today on how editing transactions can have an impact on your bank reconciliation. So I'll just discard that for now. What I want to also do is I want to show you in bank feeds how you can also ignore transactions. So if we pop into bank feeds and then click open, so as you can see, I've got my bank feeds here. So as I mentioned before, you can actually ignore transactions, and you can ignore them on the downloaded side, but also what you've processed in the software on the right as well. So there might be duplicates or so on. So for example, you can also ignore multiple, but for example, we'll just ignore this one at the top. So we'll highlight it, and then we'll go to ignore selection, and it's disappeared from the list. If you wanted to restore that, we just go to the very top right and then go into view ignored. If we go through the filter, you can apply a filter. You can see that transactions appeared there. So you can select it and then click restore. If you had multiple in here, you could select multiple and then restore a selection. So restore that back in, then reappears in the list. Also as well, if you are using bank feeds rules, you can also turn on a setting where if we go into the settings cog here on our bank, and you've got an option here for flag transactions created from bank feeds rules as bank reconciled. So you've also got that option. It is turned off as default, but you can switch that on just by going into that option there. The last part I want to show you, two parts actually. I just want to pop back to transactions, and just to remind you as well, just off the back of what we were just doing before, we've got that payment on account now. Just want to go into here. You can either do it the way I showed you by going into the bank rec and posting that transaction and marking it as reconciled at that point. If you're just creating the transaction outside of bank rec, you can just pop into here, put the tick on there, and then put the right date on, and that will remark that new one, that correct one, as reconciled. So you can also mark transactions reconciled that way as well. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is the retrospective bank rec report. So if we just go into bank accounts, we go into reports, you can either use the report finder and just type in the retrospective bank rec report. Alternatively, you can go down to reconcile transactions, and you've got a couple of options. You've got the retrospective bank reconciliation report, and what this will do is it will show you a range of transactions within a certain date that have been reconciled. So you can do a couple of reports and you compare what's been reconciled. And there's also a detailed one there as well. So that will include the reconciled balance, the bank balance, and drill down option to view unreconciled items as well. Okay, so we haven't had any questions come through as of yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back to my slides. Okay, so to summarize the session, it's been a bit of a quiet one on the questions front. So bank reconciliation provides better financial management of your business. The last reconciled balance should always match the opening balance of your next statement. Bank feeds can speed up the reconciliation process and also reduce errors due to automation. And reversing bank reconciliations will automatically reverse any subsequent reconciliations. So just remember that as well. I've also provided some guides down the right-hand side. So if you need support with, certain areas of the bank reconciliation. So correcting an audit trail transaction. So we've got guides for those. We've also got guides for why isn't my difference 0? And also my last reconciled balance has changed. So these guides will all help you in rectifying your bank reconciliation. Really, really great guides to use there as well. If you are wanting to learn more about the bank feeds, I know we had quite a lot of you that weren't using bank feeds. We do have a bank feed series. Now, the last one of the year is tomorrow, which is no, it's not. It's this afternoon. It's at 3 o'clock for part 3. We are going to be running these again in January, and we'll be picking these back up. But part 3, I'll tell you a little bit about if you want to join us at 3 o'clock. Now, it is for, if you are on version 30.1 and above, as it is a new feature of being able to import statements into your bank feeds. Now, this option is primarily used for if your bank is not compatible with automatic feeds. So definitely get registered for that because you can also use this option if you are using automatic feeds as well. So we'll talk all about how to import your transactions into your bank feeds and be able to have the same functionality. So I've included a link there for getting registered for future sessions. They will be going up over the next couple of weeks for January as well, if you want to get registered for those. If you are wanting to grow your knowledge, and if you're interested in bespoke one-to-one training on your 50 account software, we do offer various training bundles. So that can include banking as well. So if you're quite, you're not very confident using, the bank area, bank reconciliation, bank feeds, you can also do a one-to-one training on that as well. So if you are wanting a personalized quote, you can contact our team on UKI Sage University at sage.com. Okay, so these are the topics we've got coming up for the rest of December. So not all of them are on here, so it's definitely worth checking out the registration page. But again, I've already mentioned the Bank Feed series. We're also doing What's New in version 31. We're also doing other corrections, so corrections on invoices and orders, corrections on stock. We're doing global changes, festive messaging, foreign trader, and also as well, if you're familiar with batch changes or you want to look at how to change batch information on your records, then you can also join us on that session as well. You can either wait for your follow-up email to arrive with the registration link. Alternatively, you can just visit sage.co.uk/ webinars. Okay, so that does bring us to the end of today's session, a bit shorter than expected. But please feel free, if you do have any further any questions to ask, I'll hang around for the next minute or so. If you've got what you need today, you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Upon exiting the session, you will see a survey at the end. Because this is a new session, we always look for ways to improve. Please let us know any comments, feedback regarding the session. Just pop a little comment on there, what you liked, what you would like to see on the next session. Okay, so no questions have come through. So what I'll do is I'll wrap this session up. I want to say thank you to you all for your participation today. And just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks. So don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.